How much cheaper is an apartment with a tenant in Berlin? Imagine two absolutely identical apartments. One building, one floor, the same area, the same balcony. One is vacant, in the other lives a tenant. What's the price difference? Sometimes tens of thousands of euros. Why? After all, the apartment is the same. The walls haven't become crooked, the balcony hasn't shrunk, and even the neighbour upstairs remains the same. Let me explain, and watch until the end, because there is one factor that can turn a good apartment into a very complicated object for sale. And if you're interested in real estate in Berlin without fairy tales and magical calculators, subscribe to the channel and like it. And write in the comments, would you buy an apartment with a tenant if it were significantly cheaper? So, a vacant apartment can be bought by almost anyone. An investor, a family, a person who wants to live there themselves. And an apartment with a tenant? That's mainly an investor. So with one rental agreement, we just eliminated a huge part of potential buyers. And fewer buyers usually means a lower price. But it gets more interesting. It's not just about having a tenant. It's important how much do they pay. If similar apartments are rented for 1,500 euros and your tenant pays 700, the investor starts calculating, and their mood gradually worsens. But the opposite situation isn't always a reason to pop the champagne. Is the tenant paying 1,800 euros? Great, only we are again in Berlin. So the next question is this rent even legal? You need to check how it relates to the current rental registry, whether there are rental restrictions applicable to the apartment, and to what extent. Because high rent today doesn't necessarily mean high yield tomorrow. Sometimes it's also a chance to one day find an expensive letter of happiness in your mailbox, from the tenant's lawyer or from local authorities. And then the wonderful yield suddenly turns into a legal problem with an accompanying bill from the lawyer. Next, how long has the person lived in the apartment? What does the rental agreement say? Is there tenant protection against eviction? Is it possible to evict the tenant for the owner's own use? And after how many years can the buyer actually use their own apartment? And now the very factor that many sellers forget. They say, nothing to worry about. The new owner will buy the apartment and just evict the tenant. Great plan. There's just one small problem. This is Berlin. Buying an apartment does not terminate the rental agreement. So two outwardly identical apartments can have completely different values. One is sold as a place where the buyer can live tomorrow, the other as an investment, along with the tenant, the agreement, the existing rent, and sometimes a small legal surprise. So the question isn't how much does a square meter cost in this building? The right question is who can actually buy this particular apartment, and how much is that buyer willing to pay for it? Because sometimes the most expensive element of an apartment in Berlin is not the balcony, not the parquet, and not the new kitchen. It's the possibility of getting it vacant.